thanks for stopping by again today. This is another in my series of making a feature film in Japan. This is the third video in the series, and today I'm going to be talking about all the elements related to pre-production. So that includes kind of planning, script writing, locations, casting, finding crew, some of the notes about kind of props and kind of art direction related to that. So kind of everything related to pre-production, and I'll talk a little bit about like the budget I had to get the film, just get the film in the can. Not the total budget spent, but just to get it in the can. I'm outside now. I'm not really set up to film at home. I hope to change that later on, but right now I kind of want to do these things outside. I think it looks a little better, but there's a lot of noise issues. So it's windy, and I'm not sure how good the audio will be. So I'm gonna kind of kick this off here outside. But if the audio gets really bad, I'll probably give up and I'll just finish the recording at home. I'm here in Inogashira Park. It's a park on the west side of Tokyo. Really cool place, really nice place to kind of get away from all the craziness of central Tokyo. And again, I'm out here filming in the public in a park, and so there's noise, there's people walking by. So sorry about that, but it is what it is. So I'm just gonna kind of get started on things. I think I mentioned a little bit in another video where the original idea came from. I had this kind of surreal, macabre dream about an ex-girlfriend's hand, and just very surreal, kind of dark. It wasn't just dark, but it was also kind of just interesting. So that was the original concept, or kind of the original seed for the story. And then I ended up meeting Shinji here in Kichijoji, and Shinji is also from San Francisco, where I'm from, and we started talking. And by the way, if you want to meet Shinji, check out the first and second videos in this series, and you'll meet him. And again, we'll do some more videos together later in this series. But Shinji's also he's Japanese American, lived in San Francisco half his life, but also grew up in Central America. And part of my inspiration for the film was wanting, for some reason I envisioned the main character speaking Spanish. And Shinji grew up speaking Spanish, and I thought he really fit the role. We started talking about doing a project together, and that's kind of where the things got really going. And then talked about it for a while, but then I have a day job in IT company I was working for. Kind of went through some structural org changes, and I got affected by that, so I was out of a job for a little while, and thought, hey, this is a good time to do my next feature. I've done one other feature film before, so really I've been thinking about it for a long time, wanted to get another feature done, and this is like perfect timing. Had a little bit of money saved away, and I thought, yeah, I'm just going to go for it. Didn't have a finished script. I had kind of a treatment, but I had this window of opportunity, so like about 3 months. I knew I had like about 3 months before I had to get back to work. So made the decision, and from that point it was making things happen. I first kind of developed the treatment a little bit more. I think I kind of kicked everything off simultaneously. I think I kicked off looking for key crew positions and key cast positions at the same time. Budget, I basically financed the film myself. It's a micro budget film, and I think probably the biggest single expense was probably craft. We didn't really have formal craft services, but basically feeding the crew, casting crew. You don't really want to skimp on that on a film, because people need to be taken care of, at least for that. Anyway, bottom line, I think it was under $10,000 US to get the film in the can, and I think it was probably closer to like $8,000. And so that would be locations. I had 2 principal locations, and those cost me about $700. Then I had, for one location, we just went by train there. For the other location, it was a rural location in the place called Yamanashi, which is a kind of a mountainous prefecture north of Tokyo. We rented a location van, kind of a van that could seat about like eight people, and had enough kind of cargo space for gear and everything else, luggage. And that was about $500 for the van rental, and that was for about 4 days. And then for food, for that, we rented a house, kind of a rural house in the mountains, really cool, old, 100-year-old house. And for that, we just cooked at home. We did this massive supermarket run, and I think I spent about $400 on food. And then we just cooked throughout the weekend. The shoot. So that's locations, craft services. What else was a big expense in the budget to get it in the can? As far as crew, I paid people minimally, and I just kind of negotiated a rate individually with people. It's not like I used a market rate for everybody. I just negotiated individually, and so that was probably another couple $1,000 US. So it's not a lot, and then I had a lot of crows in this park. So there's a lot of crows here. What else? Gear. I filmed La Mano. It's the name of the film. I filmed La Mano on the Blackmagic cinema camera, the original one, the 2.5K camera, and then we also had a Blackmagic production camera, 4K camera. I actually don't include those in the budget because I already had those before for a few years, so I'm not including those within the budget. So again, nowadays you can shoot on your iPhone, right? So cameras are super cheap. So I don't really do that. Dozo. And anyway, sorry, people are walking by and they're getting all confused from me filming here, and I really don't give a shit if they walk in front of the camera, but I'm not going to stop what I'm doing here. Anyway, so yeah, again, I'm not including the camera in the the cost of getting the film in the can. Let's see, I did rent some equipment, but minimally. So that was probably another $500. And then probably another $1,000 in kind of art, props, things like that. So all these numbers that I just gave you, I don't know if that adds up to $8,000. I'm just kind of going by memory here, but it should be under $10,000 US. So, pretty. I think, I could have even done it for less than that had I kind of planned even better or made some changes. But that's the budget to get it in the can. And yeah. Let me talk about permits and insurance. I basically didn't get any permits for the kind of public shots. Anything that I shot in the public were all kind of shot guerrilla style. I just grabbed the shots. On city streets, you can get away with that if your crew is small and if you're not really impeding traffic or doing anything that's dangerous. You do have to be careful because if you're for example, if you shoot something in Shibuya Crossing and you cause any kind of problem, the cops will, if they see you, they will stop you and question you, and they may even, you may even get fined or arrested. It has happened, so you have to be really careful with that. But if you are a 4, 5, 6 person crew and you're on a not very crowded area and you're not really bothering anybody, you can get away with quite a bit if you're cool with people. But I did shoot in a couple of public parks, and both of those times I got shut down eventually. One of them I got all our shots in, then the other one I got one shot in. And in hindsight, it would have been pretty easy to get permits to shoot there, and there wouldn't have been that expensive, because I do think they have like kind of low budget rates, maybe like $75. So in hindsight, I probably should have got permissions for those public parks, and it's not that hard to do. Insurance, I did get production insurance because people weren't making very much money. People were basically just supporting the project out of the kindness of their heart. But I didn't want anybody exposed for, if anything happened, so I just wanted to make sure I could pay for any kind of, accident or, medical or something like that. So I did get production insurance. I have a friend in LA, a producer, Ko Mori, and thanks to him, he was able to introduce me to a guy he knows here who has a production company, and I was able to purchase insurance through the umbrella of this person's production company. I don't really have very many contacts in the professional film world here in Japan, but it shouldn't be too hard to kind of ask around, call around, and do something similar to me, or maybe even a company will sell you production insurance directly. But I do recommend having that if you are bringing a proper crew together and going to be filming over a few weeks. You just don't want to get in a position where somebody gets hurt and you can't cover it. It was reasonable. It was about $450 for 12 days of filming. So that's kind of the budget, the little bit about permits, locations, things like that, and the equipment that I used. For crew, I used a combination of Craigslist, and then there's a few Facebook groups that are for filmmakers, kind of media, filmmakers here in Japan. Those are super helpful. Great, a lot of really talented people here that you can collaborate with. I was going to shoot the film myself just to make things easy, but I ended up finding a really talented cinematographer, Loris Akaris, who had just a lot of experience, and he had some equipment, some nice lenses that him being a part of the project, he could bring up, make that part of the deal. So he ended up becoming the director of photography. So that worked out great because that just took one thing off my plate. And I think I found him probably through the Facebook Japan-based filmmakers group. Maybe I'll put some links in the description below there for you to check out. In fact, I will. I'll put some useful links down there for people. So yeah, that was the DP. Also, the Facebook group is where I found the location sound person, Jeff Ruiz, great guy, helped the film immensely, did a wonderful job on getting location sound, making the most out of some really difficult locations. He also was the sound designer for the film and did all the final mix. So he's a very talented guy. He has a production company, or sound production company here in Tokyo, and I highly recommend him for location sound and sound design and sound mixing. And then I from there just recruited like kind of production assistants to help with grip, gaffing, and being on set to help with various tasks. Yeah, I mean, we were basically a principal crew of like 4, and then depending on the day there were another 2 to 4 other people on crew on hand to do various things, and they were basically friends, a few people that maybe I met through Craigslist or some of these other sites that wanted to help out, or people I knew before that wanted to help out. Danny Caro, a really talented photographer, somebody I met while filming randomly a number of years back. He had expressed an interest in helping out when I did my next project, and we reconnected, and he was a big help in the film with crew. So yeah, that was it. That's the crew. Casting. Casting was I got lucky, to be honest. I think that's one of script, having a good script, but finding talented cast is not easy. My two main characters in the film are Shinji, who you met, or if you haven't met already, you can meet in the first two videos, Shinji Hasegawa, and then Jasna Budar. She was the other main actress in the film, and I'm pretty sure I found Jasna on by my Craigslist posts here for looking for cast. And Jasna has a really cool background. She's Bangladeshi and French background. However, she grew up speaking Spanish, living part-time in Texas. So it's perfect for me, since part of my film are these characters that have this kind of multicultural background but happen to be in Japan speaking Spanish. So that worked out great. I'm pretty sure it was Jasna's first time acting, but she just did a wonderful job, and she just looked amazing, and I'm really happy with her work. So that was just pure luck to be able to find her. Having said that, there are a lot of talented people here in Japan of all varying backgrounds. What else? Okay, the other thing about casting is that my principal location was a independent local theater group in a suburb of Tokyo, West Tokyo, and I found the location, negotiated with them to have access to it for 5 days. As part of that, the director of that theater group introduced me to several actors whom I was able to bring on board as well, and people with a pretty good background and proper acting. So that was super helpful. So I kind of recommend that is for if you're at the micro budget level and you need to kind of branch out and be able to kind of from one source be able to network quickly to a bunch of resources that you can use. Local theaters are great. Local theaters are really good. If you can maybe shoot in their studio, get introduced to all the members of those the actors and other people that are working with the theater group. It's just a great way to quickly expand your resources. And then minor roles were, I asked friends, people I knew. So a lot of my friends ended up being in the film. It all worked out. So I probably. Last but definitely not least, the other main character in the film, Alex Ormigo, who plays this sort of mysterious Mexican man character. I found him through the Japan-based filmmaker group on Facebook. Really talented guy from Mexico City. Has just extensive background in acting, and perfect for the role in the film. That again, there's a number of resources here in Tokyo for kind of independent projects. Even if you're not a part of any kind of professional film world here. Let's see, that's casting, and I'm just checking the time. I talked a little bit about the budget for locations, but let me just go through locations one more time. I think having access to a principal location is one of the big enabling factors in doing a micro-budget film. So I mean, that could be like if you're doing a film that takes place around an event, making a deal with the event organizers to let you, roam and film freely throughout that event. I mean, that's one way to look at it. But in my case, I just I needed a principal location that would act as be able to be that could be used for several different locations. And I found that just by I could have been walking, but at that day I was cycling around just suburban West Tokyo, and I found this really cool old decrepit kind of 1950s 5-story apartment building. Sort of looks kind of a Soviet block, kind of bland, but it had some character, and there's some kind of weathering, and that was on the second floor of that building was where this independent theater group was located. And so what I did is initially made contact with the theater group, got a contact there. I had a friend kind of help me with initial negotiations, just because I'm just some random foreigner that calls them up and wants to shoot a film. They may not be comfortable with that. So I had a Japanese friend of mine help me out with just I actually made initial contact, but then I told him later that, hey, my friend will be calling you later and explaining more details about the project in Japanese. And my friend Hiroshi Koizumi, very good friend of mine, thank you very much. He introduced me to a colleague of his, Chiaki Arai, who, after me briefing him on the project, called him up and gave him some background, made them feel a little bit more comfortable. And then I ended up meeting the director of the theater group. I think her name is Nagano-san, Yukino Nagano, and explained the project. I told her I had a budget of $500 US for 5 days, and she was acceptable for that. I gave her I don't think I gave her a script, but I just gave her a synopsis of the film, and she was very interested and supportive. I think basically she just felt supportive. So it was I kind of tried to little by little establish a relationship with her, even if it was just through a series of a few meetings, but tried to develop some rapport with her. But the great thing about that location is that it was able to serve as probably 5 or 6 locations. We got to shoot in their stage theater area, sort of a studio area. We got to shoot on the top floor, which was a series of these old, decrepit, really cool looking old apartment rooms. Got to shoot in these really cool hallways all throughout the building. And then for these various exterior shots, we could just cruise out into the neighborhood and shoot a scene on this side street. Cruise over to the backside, shoot another scene over here. Cruise over to another neighborhood and shoot another scene. And because we had permission to be in that building, it kind of gave us some legitimacy to be in the neighborhood. So it was a big enabling factor. If somebody stopped us or gave us a bad time, we could just say, oh yeah, we're doing a project here at this building with that theater group. And people would be, oh, okay, got a little bit more of a reason to be in the neighborhood than if we're literally just there with no connection. So that's another thing that may be helpful for other folks out there. Another thing is this theater group, the manager, director of it, she introduced, I needed a rural location, something, an old Japanese house in a kind of beautiful mountainous countryside, and I didn't know how I was going to find that. I mean, there's plenty of places, just the logistics of finding it and budget-wise, etc. But I told her that I needed this location. She happened to have a friend that was part of this theater group that owned a country house in Yamanashi. She introduced me to them. We went out and did a kind of initial look at the property. Place was perfect. Met the couple. They were down with the project. I think I paid them $200 for. It was like a long weekend. So like arrived Friday. We filmed Friday evening. Filmed Saturday, Sunday. Filmed Monday morning, and then we left. So that was the deal there. So it was, and that location too. We got our house location. Then it was just amazing rural location. There was this old temple we could film at. There were these country roads we could film at. There were vineyards around us. Then there was this nature preserve, this forest up there. So we got all these shots in for like $200 for a $200 location. So I really recommend for these kind of micro budget projects, find a location that is your principal location, but also from there you can kind of jump out and grab other shots at various places around it. I don't think you should like ask if it's okay to do that. Just get your principal location and then go out and grab these shots independently. And then other locations we shot in these 2 parks I told you about. Again, I didn't get permits. I should have got permits just because it would have been. I don't think it would have been that hard. So that's the lesson learned on the parks, the public parks. Grabbed a lot of shots or a few shots in Koenji. It's a neighborhood west of Shinjuku, western Tokyo. I had one location. Okay, I needed a cafe shot, and I hadn't found it up until the date and time and afternoon that we needed to film it. And so we had to figure out some plan B. Plan B was we found this kind of cool coffee shop in Koenji, and what we did is we sort of like snuck the shot in. We basically seated ourselves as if we're a large group. So it was probably like 7 of us, which enabled us to block off several tables. And I ordered like $100 worth of coffee and snacks and stuff. And then I asked the staff, I said, hey, do you mind if I record a short interview here? And so that enabled us to kind of sneak that shot into the cafe where we shot an interview. I think you'll have to judge for yourself whether you can do that in whatever location you find, but it is possible to do, actually. Just basically come in as a customer, order enough food and services so that they feel good that you're paying them, and if you're kind of unobtrusive and not bothering anybody, you can kind of sneak in like a dialogue shot, in a restaurant, something like that. Be careful with the background music, because with dialogue, because often there's the whatever piped in music in the reshtrant, it's probably well-known music. You obviously can't use that in your film, so you do have to be concerned about that. We shot a couple of scenes at Asakusabashi, which is a stop on the Sobu line in kind of central east downtown Tokyo, and it's a pretty cool location. If you shoot by the river there, and I'll maybe insert some shots of that area here, but it's a little noisy because you've got like boats going down the river and there's a freeway there, but you get some really cool shots, and if you can deal with the location sound issues, you can shoot with a small crew there without any problem, in my experience. And I didn't get any permits there. Obviously, it's better to try and get a permit, but you could grab a few shots there if you're not bothering anybody, and you don't really stand out unless you've got a 10-person crew. 10 person's too much, 4 to 5, 6, probably, including your cast, probably okay. The lenses I used, I have to double check with Loris on the different lenses he put on when he was filming. A lot of the times we shot with a Canon 24 to 70 zoom lens, just because we were just going from shot to shot and it was easy, and it's a good lens. But I think Loris did put some primes on for a few shots. I did have some old Zeiss Icon lenses. They were cool, but the look was just so different than the Canon. It was hard to use those. They had a cool look, but I would have had to shoot, the whole film with those lenses. So it would have been nice to have a longer production so we weren't in such a rush, so that we could shoot a little bit slower and use some nice primes for each shot. Didn't really have that luxury. So we shot over about 11 days for the initial shoot. So like 5 days on, 2 days off, and then another 4 or 5 days. And then after that, maybe a month later, several more days of pickups, things like that. I think that kind of covers most of the pre-production. There's probably some stuff I've left out, but anyway, my goal for this is hopefully this information is helpful for those doing some low-budget, micro-budget films, especially if you're maybe in Japan, want to do a project. Definitely doable. And I think it's applicable anywhere, but also especially if you're like an expat somewhere, it's not your country where you want to shoot. Some of these concepts are similar, and I think if you can get some principal locations, establish some friendships with people that support you, especially with these locations, and that'll really go a long way to having people on your side that will kind of help you if problems come up, things like that. And that's it. So the next video we'll be talking about production, so actually the filming of it, and I'm gonna bring in some of the actors, Jasna, maybe we'll connect her via Zoom, and bring back Shinji and Alex hopefully, and Loris too, Loris who shot the film mostly, and that'll be the next one. Thanks for taking the time out and watching this through to the end. Really appreciate that. The film is called La Mano. It's available on Amazon in the US, UK, and Japan, so appreciate anybody to check it out. If you like the video, press the like button and subscribe. Keep notified of other videos as they come out. And again, man, just really appreciate the support, and hope filmmakers out there got something out of this. And stay tuned. I'll continue through to the end of our experience, and I'm going to conclude the series with kind of an overview of what I learned making this film, what I would have done differently, some mistakes, things like that. So there should be some good content for filmmakers. So stick with it, and thanks again.